This might confuse you, this statement, and it did me when I first started, which is the moving average is an area of support and resistance. I heard people say, no, it's not. And so the question I came up with is, or was left with, is it or isn't it? And the answer is yes. It is and it isn't. And so let's dive into that. So I have a 30 period moving average, and there's no one perfect moving average on there, but this one happens to be a 30 period. And if we look at this, what we'll see is there's areas in here where it really did not act as any sort of support or resistance. I mean, maybe a little resistance here, but definitely not support along here, kind of maybe a little bit there, but really overall, not really acting as support or resistance, right? I mean, this one is more maybe a trend line should be drawn in here saying, okay, maybe this has a little bit of some support coming up along here, maybe some horizontal or something like this. And so we got an ascending triangle or something like that starting to form, right? But the moving average really is not helping anything right here. But if I go to another stock, let's pull this one, ADM, these are just for educational purposes only. As you can see here, I mean, it was getting pretty close. Now, no stock is usually perfectly aligned with the moving average, and sometimes if the move is too fast to the downside, it doesn't use the moving average as support, or you need a faster moving average to align. And vice versa, if it was a little bit softer trend, they need a slower one. And so it's not recommended that you necessarily continually move the moving average to match the movement of the stock, but just kind of get a general sense of how does it respond to this one? Does it tend to bounce around it? And I'd say this one does, right? At least around here and in here, but not so much in here, right? And that's pretty typical because what we see is that that's where it's going sideways. And when a stock is going sideways, the moving average is less effective, it's less efficient at picking out areas of support and resistance. And so when you see it kind of channeling, look at it really isn't doing much, but it starts to come back into play as it tends to move on a trend again. And we look at this stock NBR, you can see it does a really good job at acting as resistance. I mean, sometimes it pokes its nose through it a little bit, but as it goes sideways, not as much, and then back as support on the way up, almost bouncing right off of it. And so to go back and answer the question, is it or isn't it? It is yes. It does both. It is an area and it's not an area. It really is a trending indicator. And so we have to identify what is a trend first and then decide, okay, if it's an uptrend or downtrend, let's look at the moving average. But if not, maybe this is not the time to look at the moving average and expect it to be any sort of support or resistance area. And so hopefully that solves some of the confusion that at least I ran into initially when I was learning about technical analysis and helps you more properly identify those areas.